Hey guys, it's RodimusPrimal. I am back from the video. That's right, yes, I'm back here on RodimusPrimal Talks, which I haven't been on for a while, and, real life got in the way, and, was trying to focus on my main channel. I ended up moving from New Jersey to Florida. But, yeah, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more on this channel about some other geeky, nerdy stuff. And this time, obviously, I'm wearing a Justice League t-shirt for a reason, because, for some of us, we had waited a long time for them to, try to bring the DC superheroes and the Justice League to the big screen in a good way. And, when Man of Steel came out, it was good, right? To a degree. I know some people really, really don't like Man of Steel, but I loved some of the way that they were trying to reinvent it in a lot of ways. And I think a lot of that really played a part with Henry Cavill actually playing Superman. I really loved Henry Cavill as Superman and everything that he appeared in when he donned that costume. And the thing is that the storylines may not have been the best, right? Which is why they did two versions of Justice League. And Justice League was a mess of a movie, and they were really trying to do something different. And, I really wish that they had kind of stuck closer to, the core of those superheroes. And in some ways it did work, in some ways it didn't. So, it's one of those things where you wonder, with DC, can they actually answer Marvel with really bringing that sense of hope and excitement back with the DCEU? And so what ends up happening now is DC gets a new guy in charge, and then they clean the slate. They just basically cancel all the projects, they look at everything, and they bring James Gunn to handle the DC the DC universe for cinematic moving forward. And when he does so, everyone is worried, right? Because, and rightfully so, whether or not the whole DCEU is going to work. A lot of people demanded, or they're like, we've got to have Henry Cavill back. The Rock with the Black Adam movie, I have not seen it yet, said he has to have Henry Cavill as Superman, really, really fought for Henry Cavill, which is a great thing, because, one of the things about Henry Cavill is he was one of those kind of guys that respects the source material. He walked away from The Witcher, not just because there was talk about him returning to Superman, but also because the creative direction for The Witcher completely shifted away from the source material, away from the video games themselves. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. And so he walked away. And that was a really bold move for him. I had talked about on this channel before that Henry Cavill, said that the fans are passionate, not toxic, which is something that a lot of Hollywood types, your Michael Bays, your, Kathleen Kennedys, and all those types that are in Hollywood, and they look at, the fans as, well, you're just a fan. You love that geeky, dorky, nerdy stuff, right? And they make fun of us for liking superheroes, for liking comic books, for liking video games, for liking this stuff. And so what they do is they are the ones who are in charge. They probably bullied us as kids, and now they're in charge of making the movies, and now they get to, now I'm going to take my take on it, right? And so I really hope that there are a lot of fans who get into the business and start making these stories for these characters in a good way that can attract all audiences without pushing people out. And so, a lot of people really wanted people really, really took to Henry Cavill's care for Superman. He loves Superman. There's pictures of him on his Instagram when he was a kid wearing a Superman t-shirt, and I love Christopher Reeve. To me, Christopher Reeve is the best Superman. So Henry Cavill did a really good job of bringing in a more modern take to Superman, even if you don't like the stories. And you're allowed to say I hated the stories, but I loved Henry Cavill. And that's just a fact of the matter. He's played, a lot of his roles that he's played have been awesome. And I would love to see him in more movies. But where are we going with the DCEU? So let's take a look at this. Henry Cavill himself has actually put onto his Instagram. And he actually came up and said, this is directly on his Instagram, that I have had a meeting with James Gunn and Peter Safran, and it's sad news, everyone. I will, after all, not be returning as Superman. After being told by the studio to announce my return back in October prior to their hire, this news isn't the easiest, but that's life. The changing of the guard is something that happens. I respect that. Peter and James have a universe to build. I wish them and all involved with the new universe the best of luck and the happiest of fortunes. For those who have been on my side through the years, we can mourn for a bit, but then we must remember Superman is still around. Everything he stands for still exists. And the examples he sets for us are still there. My turn to wear the cape has passed, but what Superman stands for never will. It has been a fun ride with you all, onwards and upwards. And that's class. That's really, really classy of him to take the high road, to say, I'm not going to insult the new people in charge. And, a lot of us really, really wanted him to return, even if they were going to reboot the franchise, completely, like make a break from these guys. Because some people didn't like Ben Affleck as Batman. I enjoyed Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman herself. Stories could have been better. The Justice League movie, both versions, really, honestly, I liked some of the things that Zack Snyder did, and I like some of the things that were in the theatrical cut, but they could have done it better, and we all know that they could have done it better. And so I'm hoping that that's what we get. We get a much better, DC universe for cinematic, because the comics, they're going to do whatever they're going to do, right? So on James Gunn's Twitter, he says, Peter and I have a DC slate ready to go, which we couldn't be more over the moon about. We'll be able to share some exciting information about our first projects at the beginning of the new year. So in other words, by this time, within I would say another 2-3 weeks, we'll probably see something from James Gunn. And he says, among those on the slate is Superman. In the initial stages, our story will be focused on the earlier part of Superman's life, so the character will not be played by Henry Cavill. But we just had a great meeting with Henry, and we're big fans, and we talked about a number of exciting possibilities to work together in the future. And so, of course, yes, the slate is going to be a movie, and they asked about writing and directing. He is writing it, and it's not going to be an origin movie. So what we know about it so far is this. Superman is going to have an earlier movie with a younger actor in the role as Superman. That doesn't necessarily mean that Henry Cavill is completely out. You know what this means? This means that it's possible that they can bring Henry Cavill back as a little bit of an older Superman who's been around the block for a while. And, right now they want to do a Superman movie with a younger actor and have him be able to be Superman for a while moving forward. And I think what they're probably going to do is going to be of his earliest adventures. And they're not going to focus on an origin. He's already going to be established as Superman. I'm fine with that. I actually am. I actually think that that's a good idea. And I think that it's an exciting possibilities. But like all Hollywood projects, I always say this, and you guys know this on my Transformers channel, I'm cautiously optimistic. It means that I think the best, hoping for optimism, but I'm cautious about it because I know that they have the chance to really stink. Some people don't like what James Gunn has done with Guardians of the Galaxy. Some do. Some think that, they shouldn't just be outright replacing Henry Cavill. I don't think they're just outright replacing him. I think that James Gunn is a fan of Henry Cavill and just realizes that I can't tell his Superman story with a younger character with Henry Cavill, who is, a little bit on the older side. And this isn't a mark on Henry Cavill at all. In fact, if anything, whether you liked the stories or not, Henry Cavill was a delight as Superman, and he always has been. And I think that his class speaks volumes onto how they are going to approach if they decide to have a Superman who is a little bit older in the future. Both Henry Cavill and honestly, I would say the same thing about Brandon Routh. in playing the role. I mean, sure, we all love Christopher Reeve. Who doesn't love Christopher Reeve as Superman? Like, he just embodied that character. But, you know, in the modern day, you know, I definitely say, like, Henry Cavill was it, man. So I want to know what you guys think. Are you guys excited about the new DC universe? Or do you think that this is going to be a terrible decision? You know, it could go either way. Of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to thumbs up this video and subscribe. Check out my other videos as well. I have more videos coming down the pipeline for this channel, so stay tuned for all that. And as always, guys, until next time, till all are one.